Hi, today I'm here with Trevin. Hi. So, we met now at VidCon. Actually, look at his previous video. Because they're talking about moving to LA and everything. And do you want to talk a little bit about what happened?
About what happened to me?
Why you're moving to LA? Yeah.
So, I lived in a very conservative state, Arizona, which, you know, they have a lot of, like, it's a family kind of mentality, like, don't break the symbol of the family, which is like a mom and dad, you know, the kids, you go to church, that kind of thing. And especially in the neighborhood I lived in, it was like outside of town, so it wasn't like a small town, but it was like on the edge of everything. So very kind of isolated. And yeah, so I kind of didn't know if I was gay or not. And I ended up being bisexual, but you know, it was a struggle. And when I was 17, I kind of had a friend who, like, we were in high school together, like, we'd known each other for years, and like, it wasn't talked about, like, no one, you know, because if you were like, oh hey, I think I might like guys, like, So we were both 17, and I invited him to spend the night because he had done things, like, he had been flirting with me a lot, and I was like, well, maybe he likes me. And so yeah, so I invited him over, and like, we kind of cuddled all night, but we didn't do anything other than that. And yeah, a couple days later, like, suddenly he like called up and he's like, hey, I like talked to my church leader about this and everything, and I think you should talk to yours. And I was just like, oh no. And the whole time I'm thinking, I'm just like, just don't out me, like, I think he's gonna try to tell people I'm gay. And I was freaking out. And so I kind of like stopped talking to him because I was afraid he was gonna out me. And as time went on, suddenly, like, things started ramping up, and it was just like, we're not going to get the cops involved. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then it got to the point to where I'm sitting in class, and this detective walks in, and he's like, hey, I need you to come with me. And I'm like...
So he took you out of class in front of everyone?
Yeah, so in front of everyone. Like, I'm literally just sitting in school, like, the end of my senior year. And yeah, they just pull me out, and... So he's talking to me for a good, like, 3 hours, and it goes back and forth. Like, he gets all personal, and he's like, oh, tell me about yourself. And then he's just like, you sexually assaulted this guy. And I'm like, what? No. And as when I just turned 18 too, like, so they waited for me to turn 18. And in Arizona, there's no, like, love law, like, no Romeo and Juliet. So, like, if you're 16 and 17, like, they'll wait till the 17-year-old turns 18, and then, yeah. So you can't, once you're 18, like, you cannot have any, like, contact with minors in terms of, like, sexual contact. So this guy was, like, full on asking me at this point had like sexually assaulted my friends, and I'm like, no. And I didn't think to ask for a lawyer because I was 18 years old, like, the most prude, nerdy, shy kid ever. I full on, like, I didn't have any confidence to fight back. And if anything, like, I was just terrified. So after like 4 hours of sitting in there, I was just like, you know what, like, I'll just tell him I did it. You know, I want to go home. I'm tired. I'm freaking out, you know, mentally exhausted. And so I was like, yeah, like, I did this, like, just, you know. And so he's like, okay. And then we stood up, and he, like, arrested me right there.
I'm sorry, but this for me, I'm sorry to interrupt. This for me, it sounds like, you know, torture. Like, he kept dragging it down for like 3 hours. You got exhausted. You're like just a kid. You're just 18.
And like, I hadn't had breakfast that morning, and they pulled me out right before lunch. So I hadn't eaten all day. Like, I was literally exhausted.
Yeah.
So yeah, so after going through that, like, I was in jail for 28 hours. I got bonded. My parents bonded me out, luckily, so I wasn't stuck in jail for a year. But they did put an ankle bracelet on me, like a GPS tracker. and I wasn't able to like leave my house for a year. Like towards the end, I was able to get out a little bit for college, but like it just fell apart. Like the pretrial officer was like, you need to be like back by this time, and like it would be like 20 minutes after my class, yet I lived an hour away from the college. So it was literally impossible to like work with the schedule he was setting, and so I had to drop out of college because I was just so afraid I would get arrested and sent to jail. And yeah, so then I took a plea deal where it was like no registry, because I took a lot of tests and polygraphs, and it showed that I was literally like the bottom risk possible. So they actually dropped the felony from a 5 to a open 6, and then they put me at like the bare minimum, and they're like, well, we'll give you 10 years probation with counseling. And I was like, okay. So like I took that because I was like, no jail time, I'm not registered, like I can prove I'm not a piece of shit. So
what does it mean 5 to 6? Or?
Oh yeah, so there's like levels of felonies. Like 1 is like for like mass homicide, murder kind of stuff, and 6 is like the least possible felony.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, so I ended up like working really hard. I did all the counseling they asked me, you know, everything they asked me to do, which I guess is like really hard for like actual sex offenders. Like they can't do that kind of stuff because they just get so caught up in like trying to be sneaky and do things. So like I watched a lot of people get arrested, and I finally was able to, I finished the counseling and I applied to the courts to get off because all my testing came back clean. You know, I proved I wasn't sexually deviant. You know, I just came out as gay, like that was it. And so I went to the court, and the judge was like, yeah, like you did an amazing job. We're so sorry this happened to you. Like you're good to go. And they dropped everything off my record. And so yeah, after 3 years, I was fine. Well, I guess 4 total. I was finally like free. And this has happened in February. And so I was just kind of sitting in Arizona for a couple months, and I was like, you know what, like, no, I'm going to go to LA. Like, I have a chance to, like, talk out about it. You know, like, I literally got arrested for being gay. That was the only reason it went as far as it did. Had this had been a girl, no one would have cared. But because I was cuddling with a guy, like, they went crazy, like religious persecution.
This is like 2013 or
2011, and then I got arrested like as my birthday happened. I got arrested in 2012.
So 2000, like just 4 years ago in the U.S.
Yeah, like, and that sucks so bad, you know. And so, yeah, I definitely just want people to know that like that kind of stuff does happen. I mean, it's rare, but it does happen to people. And so, you know, I just kind of want to get my voice out there and make sure that, like, there's laws in place set up that, like, to protect the youth, because they're, like, 16, 17. They don't know what they're doing.
And I think this is also the time when people start finding themselves, you know.
Yeah.
Or just trying to figure out who they are.
You know, and, like, that's my lawyer constantly told me. He's like, if this was in California, this wouldn't have even gone like to court. It would have been dropped so fast. And I was just like, it was like in the complete opposite of California. So like it was just like religiously fueled, and you know, it sucks. But I'm here now, trying to do great things. So hopefully things work out.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that you're so you're like a fighter, you know, that you didn't just, at least as I can see, that you're not just broken down, you're not
that's what
you didn't just give up. You're like, I'm gonna fight for this, I'm gonna tell this story, and I'm gonna go to LA. And I think that's really, really good to see.
I told myself that. I was like, I'm not like, they're always like, oh, like 10 years is nothing in your life. And I was like, well, like if I'm 50 going into 60, like 10 years is nothing. When you're 20, like when you're 18 years old, like that is like the prime of like, you know, like literally like you're at your like physical best at like 25 to 30. Like why would I want to throw that all away just to like sit around? I'm like, no. You know, I want to be doing things in my life, not wait till I'm 30 years old to be like, oh, now I'm gonna start trying to set up a life now. I want to start as soon as possible. So I was like, I'm not gonna lay down and die. Like, I'm gonna do everything I can, keep going, and I did it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself. I was scary sometimes, but I did it. So.
And I think you're super brave because now you're going to LA. You don't know yet where you're gonna stay, what you're gonna work, or anything. But like all you have is as your base. You have your car, and
Yeah, it's weird. It feels like my car is kind of like my mobile house right now. I guess I'm technically homeless. You know, as soon as we check out of the hotel, it's like I'm on my own again. So yeah, that's weird. But hopefully, yeah, I'm just trying to like find a room and then like build my way up. You know, get a job, and slowly, like once I get more money, like I can move to like a better place, and then it's gonna be work.
It's gonna be work. But I love that you're saying it's gonna be work, and you know you have this plan.
Yeah,
it's good to hear. And yeah, you also have a channel on YouTube where you are actually vlogging about what's happened to you and your story, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna keep on vlogging and showing us, you know, what's happening with you in LA when you're setting up your life. So what's your channel called?
My channel is, my name is Trevin Foxwell, and so yeah, like I vlog about obviously the things that did happen to me, like about coming out, you know, personal experiences that were like, and a lot of them were negative, but that's just because I kind of wanted to get all the negative things out of the way. And so, you know, as we go on, like hopefully it'll be making like happy memories or like just, you know, crazy weird things. It won't be so down. It'll just be like, this is my life, and you know, even if bad things happen to you, you can still fight, you know, and make things better. That you can always change your own world. Maybe not the whole world. You can change your world. So
yeah, and I think by changing your own world, you are sort of changing, you know, the world, because it will have a ripple effect on. And also by just telling your story, I think a lot of people will see that it's possible to move on, fight through, even though, you know, injustice and crap has happened in your life.
Yeah, if I can like help one person, that's good enough for me. So that's what I want to do.
It's good to hear. Thanks for sitting down and having this little talk now.
You betcha.
Yeah. Be sure to subscribe to his channel, my channel. Just everyone take care. Goodbye.